Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here for something a little bit different. Now, over the winter break, it hasn't been the longest of winter breaks in the world, but I've been trying to think of some new and exciting things I want to do with the channel over the course of 2021, and one of the best ideas I could come up with was bringing back, for those of you guys that remember, the Red Bull Co-op Career Mode, the absolute banger of a series we did on the F1 2020 game. I thought what better than to bring Jamie183 back from that and actually today discuss some real-life Formula 1 predictions ready for the 2021 season. Obviously, depending on how well this goes and obviously how much you guys like it, we might try and make some more real-life F1 videos over the course of the championship. But yeah, obviously, for those of you that aren't aware, Jamie, introduce yourself for us, my guy.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm sure everyone knows me from Red Bull Co-op because it was such a, as Matt said, a banger of a series. My F1 opinions, they're sometimes called facts or spoilers because they're so good. So I'm looking forward to the season, and I'm looking forward to spoiling all of the results for you. So keep on watching.
Yeah, Jamie has actually completely finished editing Drive to Survive Season 4. He is the guy that obviously puts in all the fake storylines and things like that for you. So, if you've got any issues with that, I'll make sure I leave his Twitter handle down in the description below. We'll be honest, we're really not sure what's going to happen with this. We're just going to have a bit of fun with it and see what happens. And obviously, if you guys do go on to enjoy, make sure you leave a like and get yourself subscribed. Like I said, Jamie's socials will be down in the description below, so make sure you go follow him as well. And obviously, if there's anything from the Formula 1 world that you guys would want to see us talk about, for whatever reason, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. But today, though, we're going to start out, it is technically now race week by the time this podcast is hopefully going live. So, it's finally back. It's been a few months. We're back at Bahrain again. I know I saw something on Twitter a couple of days ago, Jamie, someone saying they've had since the last time they were in a pub, they've watched 3 Bahrain Grand Prix,
that is true,
which is kind of crazy, isn't it? It's a bit ridiculous, but that's where we're at. I think. Are you happy Formula One's returning?
Oh, absolutely. I really like Bahrain as well. I think it should be a very exciting opener. It's usually a good race, regardless. So hopefully it's better than Australia usually is, and it'll be a good race.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think everyone's excited for Formula 1 to once again be returning. It's always a bit weird coming from the winter break, but it was even weirder, obviously, with how up and down last season was as well. But yeah, today, though, like we said, jumping into our predictions, it's pretty simple. We're just going to go down. We're not going to do Drivers' Championship because we kind of both agreed with both of us it was going to be a bit complicated trying to do everything like that, where we've got one of us predicting someone to be P9 and then P14. So we're just going to do the Teams' Championships, and then also we're going to discuss who we think at the driver rivalries, obviously within the inner team battle, who is going to come out on top. So let's kick this off then. Jamie, who are you saying is going to come out on top?
First place, rather surprisingly, I've gone for Mercedes-Benz.
A gamble.
Yeah, I just think they're so good. It's impossible to predict anyone's going to beat them over the course of a season. So I think it makes sense to go with them. And they've won the last 7 now, or it must be 7 in a row. So I have no qualms with them making it 8. So that's what I've gone for.
Yeah, and I've obviously gone exactly the same. I think anyone that doesn't put Mercedes at the top of theirs is probably just trying to clickbait and try and get some angry comments from people in their videos. But yeah, I think what else can you say? 7 world titles on the bounce. There's no major rule changes as we head into the new championship as well. Now, obviously, we look at testing, you look at how strong Red Bull were and everything like that. Do you buy into the Red Bull hype train, or do we just think it's a bit of Mercedes sandbagging? They'll get to Bahrain and be
I actually
half a
buy
second
it.
clear.
I buy it a little, slightly more than previous seasons, because we see that every team is basically saying it's evolution of last year, which I think it is quite clearly. So Red Bull in the last race of last year had their strongest race in terms of pace probably since the hybrid era started in Abu Dhabi, with Verstappen winning really easily and Albon even managed to keep up with Hamilton somehow. So if they can carry on that sort of form, I don't see any reason why it couldn't be like a 4-way fight or a 2-way fight once they start picking number 1 drivers. I think Mercedes are a lot better than they're saying, but I do think that Red Bull genuinely have a lot of confidence going into the season.
Hopefully, obviously, this season round, Red Bull can actually keep up with them. You sort of hope with... I just hope Perez as well does well, but obviously we'll get onto that in just a minute. But yeah, hopefully Red Bull can go the distance this year. Obviously, Mercedes, then you're predicting they're going to come out on top. Are we both saying Hamilton's going to win in that driver
Oh
rivalry?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind.
There's no real questions about that. Are we expecting Valtteri Bottas 14.0 to return?
No,
No?
frankly.
No. Fair enough.
Well, he'll call
Yeah,
himself
no.
14.0, but he's just grown a beard again, so I don't really care at this point.
Exactly. And now we've seen his rear on Netflix. I'm sure that's going to give him the confidence boost he needs, because that's just going to be the meme all year. So very much looking forward to that. So I think, moving on though to Team 2, we've kind of answered our own question there as well, haven't we, really, about who's going to finish runner-up. Just for clarity, Jamie.
Red Bull Racing, obviously.
Red Bull you're going... Oh, that's quite a surprise. I wasn't expecting you to say that. Yeah, we're saying Red Bull. Are we? Who are we saying for driver then?
Oh, Max, of course.
We're both going Max. Now, I think, again, that was fairly easy.
I think it'll be less of a
us to
landslide than it has been the last 2 years. I think Perez is a much more
I do hope so.
experienced driver. He's got a lot more to bring to the table than either Gasly or Albon did. So I think it'll be less one-sided, but I still think Verstappen will be getting the race wins and most of the podiums.
Yes, and I think, again, I'm a Perez fan. I will admit that openly. I've always liked Perez in Formula 1. It does raise some questions, though, doesn't it, with Red Bull? Because everyone knows just how good a driver Perez is. He's been always able to extract the most out of these midfield cars as well in the past. If in some hypothetical universe he gets absolutely destroyed by Verstappen as well, for you, would that raise more questions about what on earth Red Bull are doing to their second driver, or would it just prove Verstappen is the real deal? Because I think no one's under any doubt that he's not the real deal already. But
I think
it's so difficult, isn't it?
It is. I think it would do a bit of both, really. Like, I'm a Gasly fan as well, and I'm under the impression that he's a very good driver. We've seen that he was able to win a race in AlphaTauri and do very well throughout the whole season. Like, it's clear that he doesn't just go into a Red Bull and become like a wet flannel. He's still a good driver. It'll be interesting to see, because Perez obviously is definitely proven. You could argue that Gasly and Albon went a bit too soon for them. I think if Perez really struggles as much as those two have, it does raise a lot of questions. It's like, have Red Bull just been designing the most unstable Max Verstappen driving style car that no one else can handle at all? They just want another Max to drive the second one as well. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see. I do think Perez will be a solid, capable pair of hands to control that car and get the most out of it.
This is where things might get a little bit spicy then. The tricky midfield. We were talking about this obviously pre-recording, and predicting anywhere from third to 7th or 8th, debatably, is so difficult to do, isn't it? But Jamie, who are you putting in at P3 then?
I've gone with McLaren. Who have you gone for, out of curiosity?
I've gone Ferrari.
Oh, interesting. You're going back to the old days.
Well, not quite the old days,
No.
but yeah, I've gone Ferrari for this one. Why have you gone McLaren then?
I just think that even on tracks where engine power didn't matter last year, McLaren was still better than Ferrari. And this, obviously, I do think Ferrari will improve a lot, and I think that they'll get back to sort of closer to their best of 2019 and before that. But with McLaren getting a Mercedes power unit, getting Ricciardo, who's a world-class driver, I just think they've got a bit too much. And the car wasn't exactly bad last year, so I think if they keep on the same trajectory, and they're a very well-run team, they can get the most out of any weekend, I think. So I think McLaren are going to run real high at the minute. They finished, third last season in the championship. I think Ricciardo's better than Sainz, so I think that's going to be a step up for them as well. So I think third place will definitely be a reasonable target, and obviously Mercedes power units are only going to help as well.
Right, yeah, so obviously, again, this is where obviously it gets a little bit more complicated, where we've started to change our order in comparison to each other.
Why have you put Ferrari in third, Matt?
I've put Ferrari in third, more because I reckon McLaren are going to struggle this year a bit more. They got those 2 podiums at the start of last year, didn't they? And then, they got a podium at Austria and then a podium at Spain. Not Spain,
Monza.
sorry, Monza even, I meant to say. And from then on, you had all that discussion at Abu Dhabi, didn't you, about Lando Norris somehow getting a worldie by lapping where he was like a quarter of a second off pole in the end. But there wasn't a lot said about McLaren throughout a lot of the championship. They were sort of consistently there or thereabouts, but apart from those 2 results, they didn't have any sort of major breakthrough weekends, with the exception of maybe like the first 8 laps of Portugal.
Yeah.
It was just a bit quiet, and I think Ferrari as well, there's sort of been this rumbling, hasn't there, over the winter break, talking about maybe they had to run a lot less engine power than they would have been able to anyway. Perhaps this was part of this deal that we're never going to know truly about, so perhaps I'm buying into a conspiracy theory. It was something I saw, I think it was from Mika Salo, was the only one talking about it.
I did see that.
Seemed like any sort of potentially justifiable result, but again, who really knows at the end of the day. So I really do think we're going to see a resurgence from Ferrari this year. Leclerc, again, we saw him absolutely ring that thing around pretty much week in, week out, didn't we?
Yep.
And I think Carlos Sainz as well is hopefully going to be a man that can... I mean, he's always been able to adapt to new machinery quite well anyway. I mean, he's, been at 4 or 5 different teams in 7 years of Formula 1? It's kind of insane when you think about just how much he's moved around the grid in such a short space of time. But I think he'll come in and maybe rustle Leclerc's feathers. I don't think he'll beat him. I have put Leclerc as the man that's going to win in that driver rivalry. I take it, if you put Ricciardo in as going to be top of McLaren?
I put Ricciardo to come in and beat Lando fairly comfortably. I do rate Lando, and he's obviously very young, but I think Ricciardo is that step above, and Sainz has dealt with Lando quite comfortably over the last 2 years. So Ricciardo should do as well, I think.
Yeah, so who have you put then at P4?
Fourth, I did go for Ferrari, actually.
Right, yeah. So I went McLaren. So we've just swapped them around in comparison to each other there. And again, I think for you, is it just... Yeah, they're just going to make a bit of progress, but not so much. I reckon McLaren, I've put them in 4th. It was really, really sort of umming and ahhing, as I think they will both be sort of best of the midfield and maybe be able to challenge towards the front if there's a track that really does suit their car. The main reason I put McLaren down in 4th for me was just the fact, obviously, they haven't really been able to do much else with the car because they've taken on these Mercedes engines. And nowadays, that gap that I think Mercedes used to have, especially in sort of like the other teams' cars, obviously the Mercedes is in the back of, haven't generally been that clear of any other team over the last couple of years. You really do feel like...
leveled out, hasn't it? At the start of like 2014 and stuff, the Mercedes power unit was basically like 3/4 of a second if you had that in the back of your car. Whereas now we see pretty much, apart from Ferrari last year, they're all fairly similar. Honda or Renault or whatever. So I don't think it's as much of an advantage, but I do think over the course of a season, the reliability aspect as well will be a big step up. And obviously, Constructors' Championship depends a lot on that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, so have you put Ferrari, have you put Leclerc as your driver?
Yeah, I did put Leclerc.
I've gone Norris for McLaren.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I know. It is going to be interesting, isn't it? I just think Lando Norris has made so much progress over the last couple of years, and you sort of look back at Ricciardo with his jump to Red Bull, and obviously how he was able to pocket away Seb very easily. I think it'll be incredibly close, but I just have a feeling McLaren are going to struggle this year, and Ricciardo's really going to bear the brunt of it. I don't know why. I don't want to see it happen, I'll be honest, because again, I think it's a bit difficult not to like Ricciardo, isn't it? For the most part. But I've put Lando Norris as going to win that driver rivalry, but I do think it's going to be very, very close. P5 then,
it's quite an interesting one. P5, I've gone for the newly painted Aston Martin.
Good. Well, I say good. It's another one we've agreed on then.
Oh,
that's all right. Yeah,
we
can go back to some normality then when we can talk about the same team.
Yeah. We've seen over so many years, like even before the hybrid era, Force India or whatever they were called, they were always the team that like the rest of the midfield was scared of because they were getting so much out of the car, so many good results with no budget at all. Even you go back to Jordan days, they were doing that. So now they've got a massive budget, whether we like it or not. They have got a billionaire owner. I think they're going to be a real force. I do think those top 3 of McLaren, Ferrari, and Aston are all going to be like so close over the season. There'll be races when one of them is like comfortably quickest, one of them's like 6th and stuff. So yeah, like we saw last season, really, they feel it's going to be so tight. But I've gone with Aston Martin to be 5th place. I think that they'll be quite disappointed with that. I think last year they were 4th, but obviously it would have been 3rd without the 15-point deduction. So if they do no cheating this year, they might be okay. But I've gone 5th place.
You've gone 5th place. So yeah, for me as well, I've obviously, again, I put them in 5th place. I personally do believe that maybe on paper they will still have the 3rd fastest car. I just wonder how well Stroll and Vettel are going to be able to do against, obviously, drivers that are arguably hungrier and arguably better wheel-to-wheel races.
Be careful
Stroll
what you're saying
still struggles with it. Yeah, I've got to be very careful with what I'm saying here. I'm well aware of that. But I think...
I will
Yeah,
not be
carry
careful what I'm saying. I think that their driver lineup is one of the weakest on the grid. Like, probably bottom 3, maybe bottom 4.
Oh, Jamie.
I'm not going to go into the
He's
whole
gone
list.
there. He's gone there.
But in terms of current ability right now and performance last season, Stroll and Vettel had very poor years compared to both their respective teammates. So if they carry that on, I do think Seb's a good driver. I think he's got it in him to do well, and obviously the Ferrari atmosphere is absolutely horrific. So I think it will be a new lease of life for him. But if he carries on the form he showed last season and a half, I think he'll really struggle against Stroll.
Yeah, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because again, you look at both of them, and I've always just sort of, Stroll had a couple. I mean, last year I'd say was Stroll's best season in Formula One.
Yeah, quite comfortable.
You can't take that away from him. He had obviously that podium at Monza. He had obviously the pole position at Turkey as well. I think there were a couple of.
Well.
Yes, he did, didn't he? Of course. I completely forgot about that. Obviously, everyone was so taken back by Perez's win. I think everyone forgot how well Ocon and Stroll did as well in that Grand Prix. But again, it's one of those things, isn't it, where you think when those two drivers are absolutely on it, they've probably got, the 4th or 5th best driver lineup? But
Easily,
how often are they both on it, week in, week out? Very, very rarely.
Stroll did get unlucky last year. I think there were like 7
Yes,
races in a row where he didn't score a point, which in the third fastest car was very bad. But a lot of that was luck, and he had COVID, I think, for one of them as well. So
Yes, yeah.
it will be very interesting to see this. I think this lineup's one of the ones I'm most excited for, just to see what happens. Really, I don't actually care that much about either driver, but
No.
I think in terms of interest, it will be quite interesting to see how it plays out.
Yes, yes. So who are you saying then as who's going to come out on top?
I have gone Sebastian Vettel.
You've gone Vettel.
I've backed the 4-time champion against the guy with about 20 points finishes in his whole career.
I've gone Stroll, and now you said that, I feel bad for going Stroll. But I just think, he's settled into that team. Seb, again, is one of those, I think, Seb, I really just wonder whether we're going to get some hypothetical storyline here where, obviously, he comes in, he isn't as well supported as, obviously, the team owner's son. And we've seen it in the past for Seb when he's not getting all the support, when he gets obviously he's got a young sort of upstart, he struggles. We've seen it with Daniel Ricciardo when he got into Red Bull, and even then Seb still had a lot of support, but just couldn't utilise it and then struggled. We saw it at Ferrari when Charles Leclerc came in.
Yep.
Are we going to see it now with Seb at Aston Martin, or are we finally going to see old school Sebastian back?
There's definitely
That is
potential
a real
for
question.
it, I think. There's potential for both of those things to happen, but I just think they're giving Seb so much money, and they've sacked Perez and given him so much money to get Vettel in, that they're going to give him a lot of support, definitely.
Oh, you do hope so. You really do. Because, again, neither of us are Sebastian Vettel fans. I think we can both admit that at the end of the day. But as sort of more of a neutral, you want to see him... Like with any driver, you want to see him performing at a level they can. I watched a couple of days ago, actually, to completely go off topic, a little montage of obviously Seb winning 9 in a row. And you look back at that driver and think...
Where's he gone?
where is he? What happened? Like, I don't want to see him win 9 races in a row. I don't want to see any driver particularly win 9 races in a row. It gets a bit boring. But you sort of just think, wouldn't it be great to see that driver back for a couple of weekends a year? Just like drags that Aston Martin and battles with Verstappen and Hamilton out of nowhere one weekend. But you just can't see it happening. Or I can't, anyway.
No, I've gone with Vettel to beat Stroll, but I do think they'll be battling midfield again rather than being in the top 3.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, team number 6 then, Jamie. Who are you putting in?
I've gone with AlphaTauri, actually.
Which might be I've also gone with AlphaTauri.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, we didn't know each other's list before this, so...
No, there's a lot of
I
surprise.
thought you would have gone someone else, but we got onto that. I think their testing was actually really good.
Yes,
obviously, we can't read too much into it, but they showed really good pace, and I think Gasly and Tsunoda is a pretty good lineup. I rate Gasly quite highly, and I think Tsunoda was very good in F2 and F3 as well the year before. So his 3rd promotion in 3 years. So
yeah,
he's going to hit the ground running. He's got to, otherwise Helmut Marko will be down his throat within a week. So I think he'll do well, and I think Gasly will do well as well. So hopefully a good season for them.
I think they might be strong early on this season, but again, they don't have the same sort of budget as a lot of the other teams around them. You've obviously got Yuki Tsunoda, who I do think will get up to a close enough pace to Gasly to warrant his seat. But I think obviously Gasly's coming in with all this experience now. I'm sure still a lot of confidence from that win at Monza last year. I think it would be unwise to predict Tsunoda just to instantly be on the same pace. If he was, fair play to him.
They've got their number 2 driver with Perez
exactly.
out.
Exactly. If Yuki Tsunoda can instantly match him, he'll get them bumped up to Red Bull and be dropped by the end of 2022. But yeah, I think hopefully it's going to be a bit of a year. AlphaTauri sort of, apart from that win at Monza, they were just never quite there with the rest of the midfield. A lot of Grand Prix, were they?
Yeah, it was just picking up scraps really, because you got obviously the top 4 is usually set, and then the next 3 teams took up the rest of the points. So it's pretty much Gasly and Kvyat having to pick up scraps when people made mistakes or crashed out. So
yeah,
there was never that many big points other than the obvious Italy win. So
you had Italy win, and then what's it? Kvyat coming P4 at Imola. Yeah, but apart from that, there weren't too many highs to write home about last year for AlphaTauri. But hopefully, 2021 can be a year of good, solid progress for them as well. Again, they're sort of a team that I know obviously you're a big fan of AlphaTauri because of Pierre Gasly. They're always a team that I'm sort of not really too worried either way, because it's, again, not a team that's going to be financially in any strain. It's always weird when you think about the concept of every team on the grid is there trying to win races, apart from AlphaTauri.
Yeah, they're just there as a school for young Red Bull
Exactly,
drivers.
It's really weird when you sort of think about it. You think, well, AlphaTauri can't be too successful, otherwise a Red Bull gets screwed.
Yeah.
So it's always a bit weird. But yeah, anyway, team number 7 then. Who are we going with?
Who have you backed out of Gasly and Tsunoda?
I'll go Gasly.
Yeah, same. I thought it's fairly obvious, really. Team
7.
I've gone with Alpine or Renault.
Yes.
I think those 4 teams of 3rd down to 7th are all going to be stupidly close. Wait, is that 4? No, that's 5 teams, actually.
5.
Good that I can count well there. But yeah, any of those could be in any order, really, and you could probably justify it. So I think Alpine in 7th is very harsh, but if you look at where they were in 2018 compared to where they are now, they've just been making slight backwards progress each year, and I do think that they've made their driver lineup weaker. Even though Alonso was good 5 years ago, he maybe doesn't quite have it anymore. I'm probably going to get killed for that, but yeah, I don't rate Ocon that highly. Alonso, I think, is worse than Ricciardo right now. Obviously, in his prime, he was unbelievable, but his prime was 15 years ago. So yeah, I think Alpine, they'll still have a good car, they'll still have good results, but I think end of the season, you're looking quite far down that midfield.
Yeah, again, I think Alpine as well, you sort of had this whole... I mean, they got a couple of podiums last year, and I think, again, a lot of people forgot about how well Ocon did at Sakir, obviously, because everyone was still just completely taken aback by Perez's win. But it just felt, again, like you said, they're just going a bit backwards, and I think that Cyril Irritable, obviously, he's left the team now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's gone, yeah.
As well. He's gone as well, and obviously Ricciardo's gone as well. I think they're probably looking as more of a financial and marketing opportunity. I feel like it's going to be one of those things where we find out after, say, round 5 that they're completely focused on 2022, and this year's just going to be a bit of a struggle for them. Now, who's your driver pick then at Alpine?
I have still gone with Alonso.
You've gone Alonso, so we vary there then. I've gone Ocon.
I just don't rate Ocon highly at all. He got absolutely done in by Ricciardo last year. Even that podium.
But Ricciardo's a class act.
He is, and I do think that.
I say that, and I put Norris ahead of Ricciardo.
Yeah, how highly do you rate Lando? No, I think Ocon, the podium was probably one of the luckiest podiums I've ever seen, because he was one of 2 drivers to do a one-stop. Sainz, Norris, Bottas, Russell, everyone deserved that podium more than him. So I don't rate Ocon at all. I think Alonso still will have something. It was sort of like when Schumacher came back in 2010. Obviously, he got absolutely done by Rosberg, but Rosberg back then was very good. So I think it's sort of similar. Maybe he shouldn't have come back, but he's only, 39? Which obviously is quite old. Wait, is he? No, is he over 40?
He's in his 40s, isn't he? Let me
really?
have a look. I think
Let's
so.
have a quick research into the age of
Fernando Alonso. He is... No, he's 39. He'll be 40 in July.
Well, so Kimi's still got it. Kimi Räikkönen is 42.
Well, Kimi's up against Giovinazzi.
Yeah, that's a much easier teammate.
I was going to say, Kimi can do it with his eyes closed and still probably beat Giovinazzi. Actually, I can't say that with my predictions. Oh, God. I've really done myself a hole.
But yeah, I've backed Alonso. I think he dealt with Van Dorn really easily back in 18, so he might still have it.
Yeah, I've gone with Ocon for this one. I just think that Alonso's going to come back, expect this miracle. Renault are going to qualify 13th and 14th at Bahrain. Alonso's then going to hate it for the rest of the year. Probably be out of the seat by the end of 2021. and then
Make Renault
Ocon's just going
horrifically
to
toxic as well.
Exactly, yeah, that's just what Alonso does. He lives toxicity. And I mean, I'm all for it as long as he's not ruining a driver that I like. But yeah, I just think he's going to struggle and hate it very quickly. Right, team number 8 then. Who are we going with?
I've got Alfa Romeo.
I've
think
also got Alfa
they'll make
Romeo.
a bit of progress. Last year
Yeah,
we saw the bottom 3 cut apart quite considerably. We had the top 7 or top 6, then Ferrari, and then the rest last year. Whereas now I think Alfa Romeo will make a bit of progress. I don't think their car was as bad as it was made out to be. It's just the Ferrari engine was terrible last year. So
yes,
if that improves, I think the car will be able to go a bit quicker as well. Quite obviously, that's quite a basic statement to say.
Yeah. No, I was going to go along with the same sort of thing of. Obviously, we've already heard... My whole thing for Alfa Romeo was the fact that they're going up against Williams and Haas still behind them. And I think Alfa Romeo have definitely got the fastest car there anywhere. And I think if all these rumours about the Ferrari engine are true, I think they're just going to be comfortably quicker than Williams and Haas. Obviously, Williams are still in that rebuilding stage. Haas have already accepted their focus is 2022. So I've, gone out... not to be... Don't get me wrong, I don't think they're going to be challenging Alpine week in, week out or anything like that. But I just think they're going to be in a bit of a weird no man's land where they finish 15th, 16th and 7th, no, 15th and 16th, sort of every week, and just sort of be there or
last season
thereabouts.
actually they only got 8 points last season. Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
So I think they'll get a few more than that. I think they'll get easily into double figures. Obviously more races this year. I think they'll be sort of what AlphaTauri were last year, where it's they'll pick up points when stuff goes wrong. Maybe not win a race though. That might be a bit of a stretch.
I can't see Kimi Räikkönen winning another Grand Prix. I can't see Giovinazzi winning the Grand Prix either. Although, again, saying that, I've put Giovinazzi as my driver that's going to win in that rivalry.
I'm not sure about that one.
Again, talking about it now, I'm not so sure. I just feel like we're going to get one of those weird ones where Giovinazzi just bangs out a really good result out of nowhere. And it completely saves his career.
Something like a 4th place would just guarantee you're going to beat your teammate, really, in an Alfa Romeo.
Yes,
so if he just bangs one of them out somewhere, maybe. But I have gone Kimi Räikkönen. I think he's still got it. He doesn't really get any worse season on season. Well, it's hard to tell because he's up against Giovinazzi rather than Vettel. But I've still backed him. What is he, 41 now? He'll be 42 by the end of the season. I think he's still got it. Which is
just insane when you think about it.
Yeah.
I think, what we might find with Kimi this year is he's going to announce his retirement and then just take his paycheck and not really worry about what he's doing.
I mean,
you always get
year in him.
That anyway. You reckon he's got another year?
Yeah. He doesn't get any worse. He's still going for it, isn't he?
I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, team number 9 then.
I've gone optimistically for Williams, which...
My guy!
I think that'll be the highest they finished in, since 2017? Obviously, Russell is yet to score a valid point when he's not driving a Merc. But I think he'll break that duck this season.
Yeah. I really do hope so.
He's got to, really. If he goes, 3 years in a Williams without a point, that would be pretty tragic.
Yeah.
So, I do think Russell will bag some, and it's a bit of a, you want to put one of them out of the misery, really, this bottom 2 fighting, but I think Williams have been slightly on an upward trajectory the last few years, so if they keep that up, Latifi's getting better. He was a rookie last year. We forget that, even though he's 24. Russell's obviously getting better as well.
Yeah, Latifi's one of those people as well that you barely get reminded is actually in Formula 1, isn't he? Yeah. It's like when someone says to you, oh my god, yeah, Latifi drives a Formula 1 car week in, week out. I completely forgot he exists. But I think, again, I think we're both in agreement here, aren't we, that Haas and Williams are going to be at the rear of the field. Yeah. And Williams have got a future world champion, in my eyes,
and
who's not a rookie. Right, okay. They've got a future world champion in George Russell still in the team. Neither of their drivers are rookies. Haas's are. I think Russell's obviously going to, again, wipe the floor with Latifi.
I think so, especially in qualifying. Actually, to be fair to Latifi, in the races, he wasn't that bad last year.
No, he get a few decent races.
He got 3 11th places, and Russell only got 1.
All a little bit up and down still at Williams. I just hope we see them back fighting for points. I want to believe that every team this year can fight for points, but I think Williams and Haas are certainly going to be picking up the scrappiest of scraps, if any at all, unfortunately. Right, there we go then. It does now mean that Haas is going to be our last team for both of us. I think Haas have really sort of sold it quite clearly this year. It's not their year. And you think,
they've given up before it even started, which is sooner than the last few years for them, which is a bit of a shame.
winner's mentality. It's normally after the wheels fall off at Australia, but there's no Australian Grand Prix early on. They've had to do it beforehand, which is a bit weird, but fair enough.
I just don't know where they're going to get results from.
Yeah, it's just literally, it feels like this year's just going to be a testing season for them. And I mean, if they fail 2022 regs, I think that's Haas down and out, unfortunately, as well.
Yeah, you don't see the backing lasting that much longer, do you?
I can't see Gene Haas thinking, I'm willing to give away another year, but much more than that, if it doesn't work in 2022, we're screwed, unfortunately. But who are you putting then as your driver to win in the rivalry?
Out of the Haas drivers?
Yes.
I've actually gone for Nikita Mazepin.
I hate doing it, but I've got Mazepin as well.
I think
and it's for the wrong reasons and everything.
I don't think it's for the wrong... potentially it is. I think, as much as I disagree and dislike everything he does off track, I think, and even on track sometimes with his aggressive defending and driving generally, I think he's a very quick driver. You wouldn't become an F1 driver if you just had the money. Like, rich kids exist all over the world, but only a few get to F1. So he's still a good driver. I think he's very adaptable. You see, he drove so many different cars through F2. I think he drove for like 3 different teams.
Wow, with all the variation in the F2 homologation.
Oh yeah, I know, but it's still different setups and everything, different situations. I think Mick takes a lot of time to get used to a new series. We saw his first F2 season was a bit disappointing, and even his second F2 season took a while to get going. I think Mazepin is a more adaptable, and in a championship like this, you've got to be aggressive. You've got to take opportunities when they come. And I think Mazepin has a little bit more about him in terms of aggressive driving. I rate Mick okay. I don't rate him as highly as other people because he's just called Mick Schumacher. People think he's going to win 7 titles, which I don't think will happen. But he's still a good driver. He won the F2 championship, although it was quite a weak field, I do think. But I do think Mazepin is a little bit extra about him when it comes to F1.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? Like when you said about the F2 being such a weak field, I think it was not obviously the strongest field we've seen in Formula 2.
It was a very young field as well. All the good drivers.
Yeah, this is what it was, wasn't it? It wasn't a weak field in particular. It was just an inexperienced field. Yeah. And obviously, I think that's why, for the likes of Schumacher and stuff, obviously they were able to do so well so quickly. Was obviously the fact that a lot of rookies were there that were quick some weeks as well. And I think, again, like you said, it's that horrible thing, isn't it, of you just know with how much hate there's been around Nikita Mazepin and how much hype there's been for Schumacher, you just know there's going to be some ridiculous thing where Mazepin gets like a P9 in one scrappy Grand Prix with like 11 finishes and he ends up finishing above Mick because of it. And everyone's going to hate it and you think fair play. And yeah, it's just going to be one of those things, isn't it, unfortunately, where I think Schumacher is the better driver.
I think long term, I think Schumacher is a better driver.
But you just think F1's a brutal sport sometimes, and it does sometimes favour the people you really don't want it to as well, which is very, very frustrating as well at times. But yeah, that's a bit worrying that we've both gone with the same negative mentality about it as well there, and I'm sure I would have thought a lot of people have clicked off because we've mentioned Mazepin's name.
Should have censored
in
it,
this
put
video.
a bleep over it.
Exactly. But there we go then. Our predictions ready for the new F1 2021 season. Jamie, give me one wild prediction to finish us off. It's a bit... I haven't given you a chance to think about this up to now.
You haven't, actually.
No.
5 teams win races.
5 teams win races.
Yes. We didn't actually say who's going to win a title either, but obviously Matt thinks Hamilton.
Yes.
And I think Verstappen, so there's that.
You think... Oh, dearie me. This is going to be a whole new podcast in itself now, isn't it? So you reckon
5 teams win a race.
5 teams win a race.
I'm not going to say who, but I think 5 teams win a race. What's your wild prediction?
My wild prediction: Perez wins a race. Not particularly wild, but wild enough. It's as wild as I'm willing to go. Because you've just said Verstappen's going to win the world championship as well. But yeah, I mean, I think we've gone on long enough. I mean, we didn't have quite a time frame in mind for this, but I think we can both safely agree it's probably gone on a bit longer than we had originally had in mind. But hopefully, you guys have enjoyed nonetheless. Like we said, we're really not sure what's going to happen with this. We just like talking about Formula 1 for apparently 45 minutes in one go. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video nonetheless. Like I said, I'll make sure I leave Jamie's socials down in the description below, obviously, if you want to go check him out as well. He uploads a lot of active Formula 1 content on his channel. He's a very, very active YouTuber as well. But yeah, let us know your season predictions down in the comments below, and hopefully we will be back. Maybe we'll do something before Bahrain. We'll definitely be doing something after the Bahrain Grand Prix as well. So yeah, obviously make sure you're back here for that in the near future. But yeah, thank you all, like I said, so much for watching, and we will be back very, very soon with more Formula 1.